the origin of Christmas, because it's not in the Bible, but people now have been thinking Christmas was the day of birth of Jesus, but yet it was the Roman celebration of their god, the sun god. Satan was a Roman god.
Satan,
yes,
was a Roman god,
and he's the one who was celebrated on 21st from 17th December all the way to 25th.
Hey, we rarely start an episode with a disclaimer, but on this one, please allow us. Don't watch this one if you're not open-minded.
But Mary was a virgin before, during, and after birth. How is that possible? All the popes from the time of Jesus all the way to 12th century, specifically the year 1054, they used to marry, bishops used to marry, priests used to marry.
Our guest for this episode, Father Gathang'i Waiguru, is a former Roman Catholic Church priest with a very interesting view of life.
Where the first slave ship arrived. Yes, it was in 1619. You know the name of the ship? We'll Google and maybe we'll show them. You can guess. Jesus.
The ship's name was Jesus.
Yes.
Father Waiguru has a degree in philosophy. He's also a graduate in theology, but in the course of this conversation, we'll let you decide which area comes out strong.
This is a statement that surprises many, that the closer you get to God, the far you go from the church. Why do you have few people, called there in front of the altar to be prayed for, to be laid hand? Why can't this person just say, God, bless people in the church? Then you left your home, you came to the church, but now you have to be called from your peace to come and at the altar.
The church itself is not equal.
Yes.
To on a story of reincarnation. So are you saying that there's a possibility that you, as we are seated with you here, there's a chance that you have been someone else?
Yes, and I got an opportunity even to know who I was.
And African spirituality.
The biggest religion in Haiti. And I was shocked because they said 90% are Catholics. That is Roman Catholic Church. And then the 10% are other churches. Can I surprise you? 100% Voodoo.
Witchcraft.
Don't say that.
I'm your host, Dr. Kingori, and here's another reason to stay subscribed to our channel. Come how to subscribe. Now, this is a good time to hit subscribe and turn on the notifications bell. But now, if you're ever in need of an office space, please Poa inaweza bring out the best in you as far as creativity is concerned, as far as productivity is concerned. Hautaki kwenda kwa hustle ya kuhire space, sijui kurent, ulipe goodwill, and hizo vitu zote. You need to consider checking out Wojo. Wojo is a premium co-working space located in Upper Hill, Nairobi, Makio Hotel, formerly Crown Plaza. Wako na anything you'll ever need in an office and so much more. I'm talking about a gym. Hautawai worry about parking, swimming pool, bottomless coffee, beautifully furnished spaces including private offices and meeting room. Wi-Fi is super fast and the list is endless. You can get in touch with the team at Wojo kutumia hizi contact details tumewekea hapa kwa screen. Father Waiguru, we finally get to sit down.
Great.
Tumeongea for long. We've spoken for, I think the first time I get to hear of you was when I was in NTV, and
yes.
It is years back. I think, I don't know, come on,
2020.
Yes. It was COVID time.
Yes, COVID time, yeah.
You finally get to sit down.
True. God's time is the best.
God's time is the best time.
Yeah.
Okay. Your story is rich. I hear you drop America, I hear you drop Haiti. Okay?
Yes.
Sijui kama we start with... how do you find yourself in Haiti? Did you go there on a mission or as punishment?
Okay, it can never be a punishment. I felt like it was a birth. You know, you have left your home country, Kenya. You have found yourself in a foreign land. Because when I left Kenya, I landed in a place called Madison, Illinois. No, I don't know whether you've heard Illinois. The
Obama,
yeah.
Yes.
That's where I stayed for some time. And it was during winter. So the whole of the area was very dry. It was like there was no life. During winter time, there is no life in America.
Winter is snow time.
Snow time. Everything, yes. Even the plants are dead. So until now, after a while, when I did sign language and I had passion for the deaf people, And now my superior, who had taken me to America, had also a passion for Haiti. He had gone there to visit the deaf people in Haiti, and he came back very sorrowful and saying, those people are really suffering. And I would like, when I retire, to go there and minister to those people in Haiti. And I hope I will get among you, my students, my young sons, I hope there is one who will be willing to go with me. And immediately I felt something in me that I would love to go there. And I even offered not to go with him, but to go ahead of him to prepare a way, because whenever he visited Haiti, he was hosted by other communities like sisters. You know, this is a priest, a Dominican superior. His name is Father Tom Coffrin. So I offered, I said, I can even go ahead of you if time allows. I can go there, be hosted by those religious sisters, and then be able to establish, know the country well, and maybe we can develop our own community there. And he was so happy. He sent me there, and on landing in Haiti, first of all, that was the biggest shock. You are landing in a country where the people who are coming to pick you at the airport, some of them are deaf. So, and you have not yet mastered their own deaf language. You know, the issue of deaf sign language is very
diverse.
Diverse. Thank you. I would have used complicated. Which, sorry, deaf people. It's not complicated. It's nice. It's sweet. It's easy. So that's diverse. So even the American Sign Language is very different from Haitian. So I've gotten to the airport. The people who have come are students of a deaf school. They have their sisters, religious sisters, who also don't know English. They only speak French and Creole. So I just see my name. At least I had learned some few names in French. Bonjour, comment vous in Creole, comment ça va. So, and then they welcome me and I got in. So that's how I landed in Haiti. So I would say when I landed there, I felt like I'm back at home. You know, you left your home country in Kenya. You've gone to America, a place where things seems to be, you are in another world. There is no life because things, you are not interacting with people. And then you go to another country that almost resemble like your home. People, like when we left the airport at Port-au-Prince, going to the convent, we saw donkeys, people moving across the streets. Don't know whether you should mention this. The tabia ya watu weusi, the behavior of black men. You know, we are not very lucky to have restrooms or toilets everywhere. So once you have some peace. So that was one of the things I noticed in Haiti. Before, from the airport to our convent, which was not very far, it was in Delmas, where we are hearing those chaos of our mission, Kenya Police. Then I was living there, and I saw almost 5 men peeing on the roadside. So I felt that made me say, "Hey, I'm back."
No, I think we can't label it as behavior of black men specifically. And I asked you what you think of the idea of heaven and hell, which we're going to discuss, which is very interesting coming from you.
Yes.
But in your definition, you first described Haiti as hell.
Okay, yes, but not me. That's what I had. Very many Haitians describe their own country, and even most of the missionaries who have been to Haiti, because I also met several Kenyans there and other people from Uganda, from Congo, especially people from West Africa. And they all said the same, that, wow, you know, if you go through Haiti, you are destined to heaven, because God cannot take you to 2 hells. Cannot pass through a hell in Haiti and then you go to the other one of Satan. So, and even Haitians themselves, because of the suffering, I just remembered the song of, who sang Born to Suffer?
Lucky Dube.
Yeah, Lucky Dube. Like, he was singing for those people in Haiti. They are just, once you are born there, you are just born to suffer. The moment you get in your mother's womb, even your mother has no position to go to a clinic. So many people, babies die even before they are born. So many women lose their babies, and then when they are born, very also many dies during birth, and those who survive, they also go through a lot of complications because there are no infrastructures, there are no health facilities, there are no it's kind of a deserted.
I have a question.
Yes.
And I don't know where this question lies,
Yes.
because you paint a very grim picture of children and women going through hell,
Yes.
and the misfortune of being born in Haiti,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But people are still giving birth to children.
Yes.
So is it that they don't see it that way? What do you think is the process that goes into a person to decide to bring a child into hell?
Wow, I like that. And even before I get there, some of the things from now, the previous question on the issue of health, because when I went, I would go back to America to maybe give a report or even ask for assistance, because the work we were doing was also heavy and we needed a lot of resources. And we would meet some Wazungus, some white Americans who would tell us, we have helped that country forever, for many years. I think there is nothing we can do. That country is cursed. So there are Americans who already labeled Haiti as cursed, that no any money can save that country. Now to your question on the issue of why they are born to suffer and why we have all these children being born. I remember I wrote an article where I was there, and I was trying. It was like a proposal on how to improve, to help Haiti get to where we are as Kenyans, because where Haiti is or was when I was there, Kenya was like 50 years ago. I would tell, because from the stories I had from my grandfather, and I would relate. I would now live it presently in Haiti. So I would say in my proposal, or in my article, I will share with you, I had said the biggest problem with Haiti is, first of all, even the lack of infrastructure like electricity, power. So there is no power. What does it mean? After 6 p.m., when giza imeingia, when it becomes dark, the only activity left in the whole world is creating babies. Yes.
So you would rather deal with the consequences of a child coming,
Yes.
but you can have fun before then.
It's not about having fun.
No.
It's having no option, because it's dark, nothing else. There no activity. It's like today with the electricity, you can watch news, you can play games, you can do many things. But now,
that's a very interesting way to put it, because that makes it look like electricity is a form of family planning.
It could be, because you also know whenever people find themselves in dark, kwa makesha na nini, you have heard stories of people going to kesha. That's where they get their husbands and wife. So for them, it's an opportunity. I can say the environment allows.
Is this article tied to some form of a study, like the research you arrive at this for this article?
Yes.
You can attribute darkness to people getting pregnant.
Yes, true. And the article was on matters of to do with culture, because I was asking myself, now these people, Haitians, what's their culture? So I was doing a research on the Haitian culture, and I came to realize that Haitians have the best hybrid culture on one side, but also the most confused culture ever. You know why? These people, first of all, they were colonized by, French. They had, that's why we have a difference between Haiti and Dominican Republic, yet they are in the same island, the geography. So, but then the Spanish went and took over Dominican Republic. So they also had some influence of the island, now the one island, Dominican Republic and Haiti. So they also had borrowed a lot from Spain. Another thing, before I lived in Haiti, I had done also some research on their religious stronghold, or which is the biggest religion in Haiti. And I was shocked, because they said 90% are Catholics. that is Roman Catholic Church. And then the 10% are other churches. Can I surprise you? 100% voodoo.
Witchcraft.
Don't say that.
Wadau, quick one before tuendelee na conversation. You're outside the country. You're looking for a super fast and safe way you can send money back to Kenya. You're looking to send as much as possible. You want to send more and spend less, like killing two birds with one stone. Then you need to look no further than TapTapSend. So TapTapSend is a money remittance application with multiple payment options. You can send money directly to bank accounts. You can send money directly to M-Pesa or any other mobile transfer platform. I know you have so many questions. You can get all your questions answered and all the information you need kwa website ya TapTapSend, which we have included in the description ya hii video. Also remember, TapTapSend has zero transaction fees. Zero transaction fees and great exchange rates. Na hiyo imaanishi ati kuna hidden costs. No hidden costs. The amount of money you see on the app is the exact amount of money that the recipient will get. And here's more good vibes from TapTapSend. All first-time users will get a $30 cashback if you use our promo code Wicked Edition.
Voodoo is not witchcraft.
What do you mean?
Voodoo is part of like an African culture, African religion.
Voodoo is not witchcraft.
It's not.
We had Bamboo
Yes.
on an episode recently,
Okay.
and he categorically, I think, qualified voodoo to be witchcraft.
I would say, I would agree with him to some extent. You know why? Because those people, when, all of them have an origin from West Africa. So everybody came with their own beliefs, their rituals to Haiti. Those from Congo, those from Niger, wherever, Berlin. So they came. And so they would practice whatever they saw their forefathers doing. And so when they came together, they started getting confused, and maybe they forgot some of the good values. So they only maintained maybe only maybe the negative aspects of their traditional belief. And the worst part is, whenever they were together doing their own rituals, and maybe they hear a mzungu, a slave master coming in, they made sure they had Bibles and rosaries. So what they used to do, they would immediately take out their rosaries, put the Bibles on the table, and start praying the rosary. So the colonizers, their slave masters, would think, oh, these people are so good. They are already learning our religion. So today, if you go to their shrines or to their prayers, because I attended several of them, and the days I would attend their ceremonies, I would not even be being welcome in the convent for the sisters. They felt like I was coming with those evil spirits. That's why it has been branded as witchcraft. And anyway, myself, I realized they have so much on the evil spirits, evil things. They have nothing on the positive aspect of religion or their beliefs. So if they would have good people, because I was so shocked also to find people in universities, graduates, doctors in voodoo, and I had thought at first that was being a religion for the old and whatever, not for the learned. But I was so shocked, and that's why I said Haiti on Sundays there are those who go to the Catholic Church, there are those who go to other Pentecostal churches, but from Monday to Friday they all visit their voodoo priests.
So I'm very tempted to ask,
Yes,
if you do believe
yes.
kama voodoo works. But before we get to that,
Okay.
I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
One of the things your name is known for is that you are a former Catholic priest.
Not former Catholic priest, former Roman
Catholic priest.
Yes, but now I'm current charismatic Christ priest.
What does that mean?
That means the religion or the church that was brought to us came in the name of the Roman, because it carried a lot of Romanism. If you allow me, maybe we will get some time to talk maybe on even some of the things, rituals, like even when you are doing sacraments, when your kid is being baptized in the Catholic Church, or wedding or burial, the priest goes with a book called Roman Missal for Mass or Roman Rites. So the Catholicism that has been brought to us as Africans and the Western Church follows the Roman culture. So it does not really follow what Jesus Christ, the Son of God, had dictated. It was a mixture. You know, this church was started by people like Athanasius, Emperor Constantine in 300 AD. So they had to merge most of the Roman culture, like the issue of Christmas. I hope we should have a day to discuss on the origin of Christmas, because it's not in the Bible, but people now have been thinking Christmas was the day of birth of Jesus, but yet it was the Roman celebration of their god, the sun god. Even some people say it was Satan was a Roman god.
Saturn,
yes,
was a Roman god,
he's the one who was celebrated on 25th of. And the celebration was done from 17th December all the way to 25th. And those days, people used to bring together gifts for that god, whose name was Satan. And then when they finish, they bring them together. After now the 25th, they celebrate. Then the following day, after 25th, now it was the day to see what people brought, the gift they brought to their god. And they would open the origin of Boxing Day. So Boxing Day was to see those gifts. And those gifts, who were supposed to take the gifts? The less fortunate, the widows, the orphans, the homeless.
So you're saying, according to that mythology,
yes,
Satan
yes,
was a philanthropist. Satan was a giver. Satan has a good heart.
According to the Roman culture, understanding. But now when now they brought a religion to us, I would say when now they created now Christianity, because they wanted to be the world religion through, as I've said, Emperor Constantine, and they wanted to spread the whole world. So they made sure that they brought what the Romans were practicing, and now the values of Jesus Christ, they merged them together, and now they spread. And that's why it was very easy to spread Christianity to most parts of the world. And I would say the areas that refused that, I would say, ideology or indoctrination, I think they were branded as pagans, as atheists. That's why we had like Chinese, Koreans, some Indians, they refused. But today, things are changing. People now understand that those people, is not that they refused God. It's only that they were strong in their beliefs. They stood with their God. They said, we don't want a foreign God, but Africans, we just accepted everything and we deserted our own God. So that's why I would say, for me, that was the question.
You are explaining the difference between Roman,
yes,
and charismatic Catholic. Yes.
Because the word charismatic comes from the Holy Spirit. It's from God. It's not really associating yourself with a people, a culture of some people, the Romans. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So how sure are you then? How sure are you then that by being a Catholic halfway,
yes,
from the original idea of the Catholic,
yes,
that you're on the right path?
It's not about being sure. It's about knowledge. And here I am telling people, whenever I meet and they ask me that question, that I wish people would get themselves out of some ignorance. I hope, and our viewers take me positively. Ignorance in a way that you may know something very well, but some other areas you don't, you are not well informed. So inform yourself on the issue of the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church is not just the Roman Catholic. If you just go to your Google, go to your phone and Google the Catholic Church, and you see it has 23 like branches, the best word to say, but they call them rites, R-I-T-E, different rites. Some of them are like Alexandria, right? Greek, Greece. Okay, so there are so many. There are 23 number. I wish I could list them well. But they are there. We can even put them for the people to see. Yes. And among all those, even Orthodox and Episcopate, they are all under the umbrella of the Catholic Church. But only one side that was very strong for the Romans, that was able now to penetrate and to be powerful. And that's what was brought to us. So that does not mean that Catholic Church is only the Roman. And that's why even our Pope, because he's also the Pope of all the Catholic Church, whether they are Romans or others, that he has been asked several times on the issue of celibacy, because that's the only thing that it makes distinct Romans from other rites. The only thing with the Romans, they are the only rite that abhors or follows celibacy, that priests do not marry.
As I saw somewhere that there was a time that popes actually used to marry, and it changed somewhere katikati. What's in it hapa kwa celibacy? What's going on? What's the origin? What's happening? What changed?
Nowadays, I don't want to get too much into that place, because many people, first of all, already now people know that every human being, whether you are a priest or whatever, or whichever profession, you are a human being, and you are bound to, as a man, you're born to love a woman, you're born to have kids, because that's how God created. So whenever I bring this issue out, especially those who are very staunch Catholic, they are so much, they say, don't tell us, we know our priests have women somewhere, they have kids, that's their life. You are, they tell me, you are unable to sustain or to hide, so leave them alone. So
you've been told that?
So many, like a few weeks ago, my story was all over, it was going all over the media, and most of the people who are very staunch Catholic, that's what they were saying.
Okay.
Yeah, so people know, it's now an open secret. So I would say you have asked the issue of...
Okay, why? Okay, I know... I'm not even getting into whether they are celibate or not. Okay. I just would like to understand the idea behind celibacy.
As you said, and it's well speculated, so many, all the popes from the time of Jesus all the way to 12th century, specifically the year 1054, they used to marry, bishops used to marry, priests used to marry. And they realized that nepotism and simony is sharing of sacraments and all this, and so the bishops who are also in charge of the nation, that time there was no difference between state and church. A bishop would be the ministers and they would be ruling, and so they would make their own sons as priests. So it became like a family thing. And then when maybe a priest have a family and their kids are not really following the doctrine, the church, when the priest died, the sons would take charge. They don't want anything to do with the church, and they would transform the church maybe to a club, a restaurant, or a museum, or what. So the church realized we are losing too much. And also, at that time, we also had some other empires, chiefs, who also had their priests to like pray for them in their places. Like tribal chiefs and all this. So maybe they would want a service of a priest 24 hours. Maybe it would be at night, and they would be sending somebody, hey, go and call that priest to pray for somebody who is sick or what. And maybe they would be busy with their wife. So they also added these people. It is recorded. These people. No, do you know the story of, do you know the story of eunuchs? Even the Bible says there are those people who are made eunuchs by other human beings, like the cis guard, those people who guard the popes. You see them how those smart.
I've been told, Aki father, twende pole, as in, okay, eunuchs.
Yes, castrated.
Like.
When we started having chiefs, and some soldiers would be brought, and maybe these chiefs or these kings will not want their bodyguards or to interfere with their family members.
Aye.
They would castrate them so that they don't make love with their daughters or interfere with the blood of the family. So anyway,
That's where the idea comes from.
exactly.
And they chop off the whole thing.
Is it chopping or just like we do to the bulls? You know, it's not chopping, but there's a way they disconnect the seeds from getting out.
Or you have the system, they just remove the bullets,
Yes.
but they leave it working.
Okay. Now that one we leave it to medics. They know what they do. Nowadays we are seeing people who are raising bulls, not for giving seeds, but just for fattening, for butchery.
Yes.
That's what they do. They castrate them. Maybe they fold. Ndio sasa.
Okay. Why wasn't that an option for priests, so that things don't get complicated?
Because the reason why they just put a rule that from now, that was 1054, in a place that I visited when I was in Italy. It's called Florence. They had a council and they came together and they were trying to see how can we protect our church property and how can we make sure that these kings have people to serve them 24 hours without saying I'm busy with my wife. So they they came together and even voted. And so after that, now it was very hard for a man who is a priest to marry because the environment would not allow it. I would say in a way it helped. It was very positive during those first days because most of those priests who did not marry were able to go very far from their country. Like they came to Africa. Like even myself, I would say I benefited from that rule because when I was in Haiti, I did not have anything.
Family ties, like
Yes.
you don't have a nuclear
Yes,
family
so
that
even
ties you
whenever
down.
I would have faced so many difficulties, I would not have anything like thinking there's people who are crying for me back at home, maybe my kids, my wife. So I would say at first, and maybe that's why it was maybe also God's plan. And that's why even those missionaries, when they came here, they felt at home. They even didn't want to go back because what are they going back for? Although now when they came back here, even we were surprised sometimes we would see some seminarians in the seminary. And you look at them, they came from maybe na huko Nyeri, na huko kwenye Consolata priest went. Unaona mtu ni Mkikuyu ama ni Mmeru, maybe a Kikuyu, but the facial, it has some uzungu somewhere. And you know this one, this was a priest must have because and also let me inform you there that that rule was just specifically for that, not to stop
Nothing about holiness,
Yes,
nothing about...
not about priests not having children, because if you have, then those children, you are responsible over them. They have no touch with
the church.
So,
And in fact, you have a responsibility to hide them.
that's okay. That's it. And I even overheard, and that's why when I started giving these stories, most of my friends, great friends, we used to meet and interact, priests here in Nairobi, and they were called. Some told me they were called and they had a meeting. And they said, "You man, we don't want to hear you with this priest. You are telling him our secret, and he's going to."
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
So now we've picked an explanation there.
Okay.
Roman Catholic, nini. This seems to me like it's a very worldly concept. Mpaka hapo so far, it's just proper strategies of the world, okay?
Yes.
Which begs the question, in your experience, and you have a very interesting concept on what happens when people die. But before we get to that,
Okay.
what do you believe in? You've told us that Satan was
a god of the Romans. Because we didn't have any concept of Satan as Africans before Mzungu came. So Mzungu came, brought us the gospel, and Satan, nowhere.
So what do you believe in?
We don't have the name of Satan.
So what do you believe? Before you tell us what happens when people die, you have a very interesting concept in that. In fact, that comes from you explaining to me where a story where someone specifically asked for you to conduct their burial rites.
Yes.
But before that, what do you believe in? What do you think of the concept of heaven and hell?
Okay. You've asked me, what do I believe in? As I hope I shared, and if I have not, I want to say my journey to where I am, I was taken through some kind of very robust formation. I was taken through a school to learn philosophy. And philosophy is about knowledge. It's about love of wisdom, philosophia, love of wisdom, to understand, to use your mind. And that's why priests are the most educated and learned people in the world, because they learn pure, whole philosophy. You see? So it's about knowledge, trying to use your mind to know things. But then, after you finish philosophy, then because our mind are also very limited, and they are made to be limited. Yeah? They are made. It's not that they are limited. Our mind are so vast. I would give an example. I see you have a wonderful phone. Would you mind telling us how much storage it can? The storage.
256 GB.
GB.
Yes.
Okay. Let me not give that example. I would think, okay, we have some memory cards that
1 terabyte.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
1 terabyte. But there is a person you can give that memory card, but the only content he has can only get not even 100 GB. So all the other room is left empty.
Yes.
Another example I would give, we have people who are going to buy very sports car, Porsche cars, that their speedometer goes all the way to 250 or 300. But where can you drive them here in?
Aye.
Even
let me give, by the way, I've had a car that drives up to 260, but I don't think I've ever gone past 140.
Now that's a waste of all the others. That's the same case.
You think so?
Yes, the person who did that car knew you would go very comfortable, even 200. But now the problem is the environment where you are driving. Roads. Go to Italy. When I was in Italy, I was in a train that was going very fast, electrical train. It was going almost 200 kilometers per hour. But I would see a car going and passing us. So I would imagine how much that car was.
How fast? Yes.
So that I want us to get that concept. God created us a great mind that would go, would accumulate, would know too much. But now, because of the system, the things that we have been programmed to, we are limited.
The things we have been programmed to.
Yes.
Our environment.
And our environment. When you were born, when you started using your mind, the first thing you are told, you're giving limits. Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, not do. And that's why China is ahead of us. Because for them, they are allowed to explore the world, to know, to make mistakes, to do this. So that's why I would say about belief and knowledge. I thank God because I was able to get out of that naitwa governor ile ya kufinya
limitation,
kufinya speed.
Yes.
Hapo sasa ndio nilifanya nianze kupata shida na kanisa ya Roma. Sasa niseme because I felt I was not ready to be.
You are uncontainable.
Yes, to be contained on that atifika ite. After hapo don't speed over there. And so I would say after now that knowledge, philosophy, because our mind has been set to get to end at 80.
Yes.
Then you are told the rest, don't ask. Now that's when you are taken to theology. Theology is about dogmas and doctrines.
So to get you correctly, you've been trained of how unlimited your mind power is.
Yes.
And then the next level now is to limit it.
Yes, to tell you, now we are going to tell you that there is heaven. And that heaven, very few people go there. And some of the people, We have like the mother of Jesus, because of the work she did, she was able to go to heaven, body and soul. And they tell you, don't ask a question, that's a dogma. You believe. So you don't start asking. But you taught us in philosophy that heaven is a state,
Yes.
it's not a place. How does a person now go with the body? And now you're telling us that this, because of the work she did, she was a virgin, and that's another dogma, that Mary was a virgin before, during, and after birth. How is that possible? So anyone who asked such question were told, this is not the right place for you. And I think I told you when we were taking some coffee that for the people who go to the seminary, only less than 30% finish through, get to ordination. Yeah. Okay. So the issue of belief for me, maybe you should not take very wrong routes. The issue of belief for me is I think I'm surpassed that. I'm beyond that. I learned it should be the other way. You start with belief and then you go to knowledge. But now the Roman Church training of a priest, they start with you knowledge. They tell you that's how much you can reason, then so that they can take you. Now from there start believing. For me, I think is you start by believing, and then you ask you as many questions as possible, and those questions are able to give you some right. You even consult God Himself. You understand that God is not that very far. Like he was. For me, I use the word, he was excommunicated by the Romans from the world, because he had really promised during the Genesis story that when Adam and Eve sinned, he chased them away, but he promised, I'll bring the relationship back. That's when he sent his son, Jesus Christ, to come and as Emmanuel. Emmanuel means God with us, so that he would be with us. So now when you realize that God is not there seated at the right hand, what we are always taught to sing every day, you go to church, then Nicene Creed. That's now the origin of this Muzungu concept of God.
Okay, so you say Muzungu concept of God, but you are dressed in the church regalia, and you conduct services.
Yes.
You conduct mass.
Yes.
To what end?
Wow, thank you. And the only way I would say this is the reason why I am still putting such is because of time. Time and senses. Time meaning that like now it's dark, it's nighttime, although here it's morning or whatever. But when it is dark, there is a time, maybe in the morning, when light will start coming. You see, it does not come from dark immediately to light. Zinaachiana, there is a transition. A little bit, the darkness start fading, and then the lights come. So the reason why I have this is because I believe I'm in that dawn, where I belong to some, I'm in the darkness, but heading to the light. So these things were brought to us to put us in darkness. So, but I hope one day when all of us, especially as Black people, you'll be able now to get to the right, to realize the right, and then we'll be able to get out of them and then have our own.
What is the light?
The light.
You speak as someone who knows something beyond what you've experienced.
Yes.
I understand the concept of transition.
Yes.
But do you have to wait when you know what the light is?
The problem is, and this is, I would use an example that is very, very clear, that if you are in a room that is very, very dark, and immediately somebody puts on the light, you are not able to receive that light. You close your eyes, because sometimes your eyes was not used to. So the best way is you close your eyes, you cover yourself, and then you allow some light to come slowly by slowly.
You gradually slide into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So that's where I am. When I started now having this I would say, revelations or some knowledge. At first, they used to say they were controversial because it's like light coming to a person who has been in darkness. So it pains. So you have to go slowly.
Okay.
And that's why we call them vestments. Somebody, people, I know the young people, my Gen Z, we call them costumes.
So I don't know how this concept applies there. There's an idea, I'm a big fan of ideas.
Okay, great.
So there's a concept called cognitive dissonance. This is where you believe in something so much, you believe in it kabisa, that even if you are presented with facts contradicting your point of view with evidence, you will struggle so much believing in that.
Yes.
That you would rather stick with what you believe in.
Exactly. And even before I came here, I had a meeting with some people, and we tried to discuss a bit of it. And they are great professors, doctors. One of them is a doctor in Tuk University, a great friend of mine. We are having a team. And because he has a strong belief as an SDA.
Yes.
And lucky enough, there was somebody also who was a bit liberal in matters of thought. And I said, our people have been trained to fear discussing matters of religion and politics.
Okay.
And I told them, if you hear somebody say, mimi ikifika mambo ya siasa, things to do with religion, I don't discuss.
Yes.
And I tell them, that's a person who, as you have said, a closed mind. Somebody who is not open, somebody who is very ignorant. Because I would give an example. We are in Kenya and we know some of the powerful parties we have had here. Like if you are in ODM, first of all, you don't know what ODM stands for, their policies and all this, but you don't want anybody to tell you anything bad about. So the best thing is to do what? To just fight for it and say, I don't want discussion. The same case with the church. If you either belong, maybe you're a PCA person, you even don't know their discipline, their doctrine, their word. And so when you get to a conversation with somebody who knows his church, maybe the Catholic Church or Anglican, and he's challenging you on your own, you feel like you are what? You are being challenged. So you say, I would rather not discuss. So our viewers, anyone you ever hear saying, me, matters of religion or politics, I don't discuss, just leave that person alone. He has a long way to go. He's a closed mind person. Otherwise, people who have an open mind, they know they have information about what they believe or where they are. If it's a party, you belong to a certain party, you know their belief. You don't fear meeting somebody who is of a contrary belief. And I would even tell you where this idea, this transformation now on that point came in. Because I happened to be in the US during the time of when now Trump and Hillary Clinton were campaigning. And I would visit a home that is completely Democrat. The next time I would visit another one that is completely Republican. Another day, I would find a home that has all people together, Republicans and Democrats. And those are people who are strong and diehards. They don't change, whoever is in the presidency. So and that's when I realized we have been lied that through this objective. In America, I knew there were two truths. If you meet a Democrat, they will tell you, they will argue, and you will truly agree. That's the truth. Then you go to the Republicans, and they will tell you another version of truth.
And it's very convincing.
Very convincing. So that's when, for me, and the best part is they all respected each other. You come, you tell me your policies, I tell you, you accept my view or you don't. We continue to be friends. And that's where I pray our people would mature to.
So the open-minded people are the swing states. People who are open to, okay, I can change my mind, this or that.
True.
But then, before you get to your conversation on what happens when people die, you said something that really has spent a lot of time in my head.
Okay.
you met God, and that's when you stopped believing.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Because I understood that God's plan was to be with us and even to make us as gods. It is even in the Bible. I think Psalms 2:8. It says, we shall be like gods. We are gods. And even himself, God, during creation, he said he wants to bring a relationship between man and himself. And that's why he had to send his only son to be with us, to be Emmanuel, God with us. Mm-hmm. So when I came to understand that this concept of taking God, Jesus, away from us was not really God's idea. It was human idea, so that they can create like a throne, just like we have the thrones, the serikalis, the governments of our day, where no
object of control.
Yes, nobody can just go to State House or Harambee House to talk to the president. You need some middlemen, procedures and middlemen. So the church had to create that middle broker concept. So, and that's why for me, I had that insight, and I was telling my last interview that and a good example that people would relate with during the time of COVID, this Minister of Health was telling people that you don't have to take COVID to your parents for Christmas. Just talk to them on phone, send them your gift, and stay in Nairobi. You remember that? Mm-hmm. So in a way, the phone became like a
communication channel that to break the
to you for going to your parents. But today, without COVID, you have to use your phone and miss to go and meet your parents.
No.
Which one is better? To go and meet them physically.
The experience.
So that's the experience I got when I got it to America, because I realized that so many people stopped going to church in America. Not that they stopped believing in God. It's because they knew God. And when they knew God, they knew I can connect with God, even when I'm at home, when I'm at work, in nature. So I don't have to go to church.
Cut off the middleman.
Exactly. So these are a statement that surprises many, that the closer you get to God, the far you go from the church. So parents, if you see your young people fed up, they don't want to go to church. Maybe we have so many spiritual leaders and teachers in TikTok. I'm surprised. These people in their 20s, most of the searches are on spirituality. Yes, and many people say, I don't ascribe to any religion or what. Me, I'm following a kind of spirituality. I want to know God by myself. So that is something I'm telling. Whenever I meet parents, and maybe they are surprised, they are saying, oh, the way I brought my child very well into the church, now he's not going anywhere to the church. Because they have realized most of the people, when they are going to the church, they leave their brain at home. That's why wakienda, they sing several songs, they dance, and then the pastor comes, takes a verse, and tell you this is what God is doing, this God wants to do, but because God cannot do that before I command him. Now I'm a pastor. I have to tell God to bless you. You want this and this. First of all, bring a bahasha. Unaleta ya kwanza, you bring the first one. Now after that, we have another one. So you contribute like 3 times. Now God, this person is faithful. And that's why you ask yourself, you are in a church and you believe God is in the church. Why do you have few people called there in front of the altar to be prayed for, to be laid hand? Why can't this person just say, God, bless people who are in the church? And you left your home, you came to the church, but now you have to be called from your place to come and at the altar.
The church itself is not equal.
Yes.
Like where you are, blessings are not getting to all the
God
corners.
God is not able to reach all the corners. Yes, you have to come here at the altar and touch the hands of the pastor, and he lays hand on you. So the blessings he did to all the people, what do you call?
Sawa, I hear you. So do you believe, as has been submitted severally, even on this platform, that life is spiritual?
Very true. Very
Sawa.
true. So,
you believe that?
Yes.
So, and your idea of who God is has changed?
Yes, it has changed from what I was taught for many years, over 10 years.
To what you have learned and found out yourself, okay?
Yes, yes.
So now, what happens when people die?
Now, when people dies, it depends with how you have grown up and who taught you.
Okay.
Yes, I want to be very, very objective on this topic, so that I don't get a lot of fight. Let's start with Christianity.
Yes.
And at first, I thought Christians have one concept of life after death. But after my research and speaking to several people, I came to understand even Christians have very diverse views on after death. First of all, I start with the Catholics. That's where I was taught, and even not now, because the issue of after death has been changing with years. There's something that was called limbo. Have you ever heard such a name? Limbo.
Yes, yes, yes.
Limbo.
I know it from Elephant Man. Everybody dance to the limbo. And then there's a commonly thrown, or leave someone in a state of limbo. And then the other, okay, those two contexts.
Thank you. I wish to, I will try to know why they use that name in that context. But on my part, and what the Catholic Church used to teach, especially so that they could hold any mother who was about to give birth to be in the church. You should not give birth when you are out of the church. So they used to teach in the teaching that if you give birth to a child and the child dies without being baptized, he immediately goes to limbo. He cannot go to heaven. He has a sin, the issue of original sin. So what was the reason for that? So that when you get pregnant, make sure you register yourself if you're not in any church. Make sure you go through catechism, so that immediately you give birth, you go and tell the priest so that he baptizes the child to save the child. In case he dies, immediately after baptism, he will go direct to heaven. So you see, those are two concepts. Baptism gives you a direct ticket to heaven as a child. You get me? Although there's a pope, the pope before Pope Francis, Pope Benedict came and disputed.
Scrapped that.
And scrapped. They say the issue of limbo, let us scrap it.
What is limbo?
That the place where
the holding place,
the holding
for
place
sinful children.
Yes, for children who dies with original sin, a sin that they even don't know, the sin of somebody even we don't know that he existed, Adam and Eve.
So this is very wide, and I want to be very careful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We are still in the concept of what happens when people die. Okay.
Yes.
You just explained limbo.
Yes.
So when you say, Ati, this is like a holding place of children who died and they have a sin. Okay.
Yes.
This means
not their sin. They have somebody else's sin, original sin.
Or sin of Adam.
Adam and Eve, yes.
Okay, sawa.
Yes.
So I'm assuming as we get into this concept, I don't know kama this is too early,
Yes.
or if it is, we can get into it.
Okay.
So when someone dies,
Yes.
and then goes to heaven, do you go to heaven as the person you are, or as in age?
Yes.
Because if someone, okay, let's say, if your grandfather died at 80,
Yes.
and then you die at 80.
Yes.
So when you meet
Yeah.
in that place where till we meet again,
Yes.
will you be age mates with your grandfather? Or if your grandfather died at, like mine died at 65,
Yes.
and then you die at 80.
Yes.
So when you meet him
Yes.
in the place where people meet again, you will be older than your grandfather.
That one is not correct. Although we will get there, because as I said, as several people, several churches, several religions
Have different
perspectives. But on that, I would say now, as still we are in this Roman teaching,
Okay.
that they say when somebody is baptized at the age 1, and another one was baptized at 100 years, the moment they get baptized, they come of the same age. You know, age is for the body, it's not for the soul, it's not for yourself. It's the body that gets old, aged. So it's not about the soul, it's not about you, as Dr. Kengori. You never grow. It's your body that gets old, it gets withered, it goes back to the soil, and you remain. We'll get there. For those people who believe on
the other one, okay.
You remaining. So that is one on limbo. Another teaching of the church.
So limbo is just like a kindergarten of children who limbo is specific, as in there is no other people in limbo, there are no nurses,
yes.
just children, infants.
Yes, that's it. But I've said it was scrapped.
Okay.
By who? Pope Benedict XVI.
Okay.
Now, the other one that remained was purgatory. You've heard of purgatory?
Yes, I have.
Purgatory is now for people, now they're aged, who have died, but by the time they died, they were not in good relationship with, they had not finished their dues, they had not paid their tithe well, they had not, maybe they were still polygamous, they were not faithful to their wives. So they also did not, the church said they do not go to heaven. So they had to also be put somewhere in purgatory. And that was now the origin of Reformation, Protestantism. You heard of Martin Luther, the reformer, in the 15th century.
Yes.
Yeah, he studied the Bible and he saw what was happening. That was the origin of the purgatory in the 15th century. And how did it come about? The Pope of that time, I think it was Pope Leo, wanted to build now Vatican, Rome. And he needed money. So what was the means to get money? He told people, you know, your people who died, your fathers, your grandfathers, they are all in purgatory. So now God has told us for them to be released, to go to heaven, you need to ask Mass, this service, the Catholic, you call Eucharistic or Mass. I don't know, you understand the concept of Mass, not the Mass demonstration, the Mass in the church.
Yes.
Or other churches, they call it service. So, and then you have to specifically go and tell the priest, offer this Mass for my dead parent or my dead relative. You write your name and you put a check on a nice envelope, so that when the priest goes there and says that Mass and mentions the name of your dead relative, that person will immediately
be released
from purgatory and go to
heaven.
So that's the money that was used to build Rome. We are always told that Rome was not built in a day, yes, because that money had to be collected all over the. That is the reason. It's not that they had not invested to say now is the time, this is the money we need now. So they were waiting. Hey, country, why are people in that country not praying for their dead? Their dead are still stuck in purgatory. Tell them to pay. So like that, and so that is, and the problem is, even after Martin Luther now told people the truth, he brought the issue of justification, that when you die, you are either going to hell or heaven. It's not about other people praying for you. You lived your own life. You don't have it. So he put the 95 theses on the wall, and 90% of them were on the issue of purgatory. People hear about the 95 theses of Martin Luther, but they don't see they don't get the content.
Yes.
So 95 was about purgatory. He told people, no, there is nothing like purgatory. So it's until now, our current Pope Francis, who is also saying that he also does not really believe, although he cannot come out clearly to say that there is no purgatory. So that's all I can say about the Catholic beliefs on afterlife. Although I would also add maybe they also believe in hell, that if you are a great sinner, you go to hell. Although the recent report that I have said, I think still Pope Francis has said, at least up to now, they have not confirmed anybody has arrived in hell.
They have not confirmed.
Yes.
So the idea of hell is you're being cooked and you're not getting a wivi forever, just cooking.
But bado hajafika huko.
So now, so what do you believe in? What do you think happens when people die?
Yes, and also they say when you live a good life, especially if you die a virgin, you go direct to heaven, because they say now heaven, here that's where you live happy life. You'll be singing forever. That's what I have always believed in. So that's how I can answer that question. So that's the Catholic.
That is for virgins, right?
Yes, and that's why I wanted to live a virgin life so that I can go to heaven.
Oh, up until you got married.
Yes.
Okay.
Or even before I got married, I found myself.
So your commitment to the oath of celibacy was, if you die a virgin,
yes, I'll go.
Good things are coming.
Yes, you go to heaven and you'll be even given many virgins there. So hiyo ni Waislamu. We also borrow them. Kama Muislamu atapewa virgin saba huko, ni 70? 72.
Not all Muslims believe in that. I believe that's I'm not sure if that's the right Muslim doctrine.
Okay.
I think that has been used for radicalization, but assuming that was true, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
So you can have a Muslim friend. Okay. That's a terrorist friend. Wakuingia na yeye umsaidie kazi. But 72 is not enough for forever.
And even
forever is a long time.
I've been traveling to somebody and say, even now I think he's at 50 or 60, and he says, now I'm trying to get some young women. I'm not even able one or two.
Yes.
Now, if I die, if I'm given 72, what will I do with them?
But Simesema, you're not getting old there. You have all the energy forever. In fact, you can divide them one each every 5 years. One every 5 years. That's 1,000 years covered, around thereabout. But then again...
okay, allow me just give a summary. At least with the Catholic Church.
That's the Catholic Church, yes.
So we also have now like the Protestants, who believe that justification by faith, that Jesus died on the cross for our sins. So because he died, and if you believe in him, whether you are a murderer, a womanizer, or a rapist, as long as before you die, you proclaim Jesus as your savior, he died for you, direct to heaven. If you refuse to listen to your pastor, and you don't tithe well, you're not whatever, you are material for hell. That is those Protestants. We also have other Christians, like the SDAs. I was happy to meet a great, strong faith follower of SDA, and he told me, for them, it's all about the coming back of Christ.
So they are not going. Christ is coming.
Yes. Until Jesus
we are not
comes.
Coming, you come.
Yes, wewe kauja. Hata mtu akikufa kaa hapo. Ngojea mpaka Trump arudi.
Trumpet. The trumpet is blown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a relationship between trumpet and Trump?
No, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
There are people who are talking. They are saying the coming back of Trump is a way of, for the people, they are saying it's the time of the trumpet that was prophesied. Of another day. So the SDA believe they wait for that trumpet. They cannot wake up from the grave until Tarubeta.
So they just die, they just chill under the soil?
Yes.
For the trumpet?
For the trumpet. Okay, at least...
So according to that idea, is that when someone dies, you're just dead until you hear the trumpet?
Yes, you're just dead. Although they also say, they try to put it a bit good, say, for the soul cannot really be contained in the soil. So God picks it and keeps it for you until now. When the time comes,
he will return it.
You get a glorified body, like now the one of Jesus, and then you be given back.
You get but you who has gone to the gym.
Yes, a glorified body. That's it. So that is the SDA. You've heard the story of the Jehovah Witness. They have been going all over the houses, telling people, listen, sit down, we tell you the truth. You know, I came to understand recently that I wish we listen to these people. They have been having the truth, but we have been so much closed, brainwashed.
Jehovah Witness.
Yes.
Oh, how so?
They had the truth.
How so?
Because they told us, we are not going anywhere. God created this earth as perfect as it could be. This earth.
That's the Jehovah Witness
yes,
message.
And this is paradise. It's only us who has made it evil, who has made a hell for ourselves. We just need to put things well, and this place would be a heaven, would be a paradise. That's why you see their books. On Achora Mpaka, they draw even lions dining, eating with the sheep and all these gazelles, leopard. Yes, that's how the kind of life that was in Garden of Eden. And that's what Jehovah Witnesses have always believed, that
So
heaven here is here.
That's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
It's a brilliant idea.
Okay.
So where do people come from?
Yes.
And where do people go?
Okay.
It doesn't answer that question.
Where
were you before you were born? Where do you go after you die?
Thank you. And I remember during our first call, I gave you two vocabularies. One is eternal, and another one is eviternal, if you can remember. And I said, eternal, something that is eternal, is something that's no beginning and no end, and that is God. And maybe this, God. God has no beginning, was not created, and will not have no end. Now, our soul and ourselves, we are eternal because we were created by God, but we have no end. So myself and you and others, we were created by God during creation. So I was created when God was creating the world. And then he formed me, okay, using the soil. So we are given an example in Genesis, and we are told of Adam. He formed Adam from the soil. Adam does not mean Kingori or Waiguru. It means human beings. Adam, that's not English name, or it's not a person's name. It's about humanity. You understand? So that's how we were created. My name was Adam at that time. So, and then I was given that matter, which is soil, that is mortal, that it can die. So it grows at some years, it withers and it goes back to the soil. But I remain. After a while, because the soul, I persist in a body. So after a while, that's why the issue, like you asked about Haiti, why they are so happy making babies, because there are so many souls, because many people are dying, even in that country. So they are always fighting, they are looking. Why can't some few people come together, conceive, so that they can get there? That's why even during...
That's where I was going next.
Hata mtu akirepiwa, whether in the case of a father have sex with a daughter, there is conception, and people ask, why does God allow? Because these spirits, they are fighting. They are just looking for nafasi kitu kidogo to come back. So I believe
that seems deeper than you're explaining it. The idea of in a place, yes. Is there a correlation? In a place where there is so much death, there's also so much birth.
That's it, yes. Because there has to be a balance. And as I've said, yes, there has to be a balance. And as I've said, our souls are uncomfortable there without the body. They have to enjoy. How can you enjoy things of this earth without your eyes? Bila kuona vitu mzuri. When you are driving and your good things are passing. You say, hey, wow, that's nice.
You're saying two things here. There has to be a balance.
Okay, yes.
What does that mean? I said, yes. In a place where there is so much death, there is likely to be so much birth. And you said there must be a balance.
True, because as I've said, during creation, when the time we don't know, the people who are very staunch and great followers of the Bible, and I really feel for them, Anyway, I also believe the word belief, although as I said, for me, it's not about belief, it's about knowledge. Because the Bible talks about like, was it 2,000 years before Jesus? And now 2,000 years after Jesus. So about the story of the Bible, the world exists for 4,000 years. Hata zikienda sana ni 6,000. But we have proofs of so many other articles and places that gives a record of millions of years.
That's what I wanted to ask you.
Yes. But now, following this concept that we know, that because God created us all during that, and He wants us to experience heaven when it comes, because it is not far. He wants us to experience it. So that's why when you die, somebody else, some people have to have this conjugal, that's what we call it, conjugal rights.
So now,
yes.
So this means you would believe in the concept of reincarnation, that when you die, your soul immediately looks for where people are having sex so that you can you can come.
Yes. No, okay. Let's say not immediately, and this one takes me to now let's say the cosmology. Even in the seminary, we learned about cosmology, and it was very well described with the African concept of death. You see, African culture believes system of death because it has some stages. It gives about the unborn, the living dead. You see, you start with
the unborn, the living
dead, the spirits, and then God. You see, hapo before ukikufa kuna stage zingine mbili. Kuna the living dead before you come to the spirits. So that's why now when you die, we have so many people, when their relatives die, they say they have seen them, because they are living dead. They are already here hovering, trying to see the things they were really hard for, whether people are still following their rules, because they did not go far. You've gone to pick somebody in the mortuary. What does those people in the morgue say when they are announcing? Now the people who came for wherever come forward. They don't say the people who came for Johnson. They say the people who came for the body of. So you don't go to pick a person in the mortuary. You go to pick the body of a person. So himself, that person maybe is there watching who came to my funeral, who did not come. And so after that funeral, he'll be hovering around, trying all this. And then, because until his mind, he's still in the mind of the people, of the family, the more people are thinking of you, remembering you, that's the duration you stay for the living dead. So
for the heroes that are remembered forever, it means there is nowhere they are going past the living dead.
Now that's the problem, because they are continue to be lived. They continue to live in the minds of the people. You see, but now when kind of people tend to forget you, so now you transform to the spirits, and now that's the time when now the spirits start doing what? Looking forward to come back. But also, I would say...
so you come back as someone else.
Yes.
So are you saying that there's a possibility that you, as we are seated with you here, there's a chance that you have been someone else?
Yes, and I got an opportunity even to know who I was. Yes. It's possible.
You got an opportunity to know who you are,
yes,
before you became
myself,
who you are now.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
I'll just
tell us,
Bana,
tell us.
My brother.
Tell us. This is a platform of open-minded people.
This show will go for a whole week.
No, tell us. We have time. We have time for that.
Okay. So this is what happened. I started watching movies and reading books about incarnation, as you said.
Yes.
And I saw so many people who had already seen and said, yeah, I was previously this person, and then I came back to life, and I researched and I saw the life of that person, and that's exactly the one I am following. And then and people have acted movies, and they have seen this life of a person they knew, and then they see a certain child, and they follow that child, and he's completely connecting with that person who died some time back. So on my part, when I read so much on that, I went to a monastery in Indiana, in the US, and I was going to the monastery is a big land with forests, and the work there is just to pray and eat, nothing more. Pray and eat for a whole month.
Yes, just pray and eat.
Yes, pray and eat. So I asked God, what's this issue about afterlife? Where do we go? And especially, what about myself? So, yes, he like revealed to me that now what we have discussed, that what dies are our bodies, and then we come back. So yes, who was I? So I started, like he wanted me to go back to that journey. So when I left now the monastery, I went to a party, and I just met some Kenyans there in the US. And so they were discussing after we finished eating goats and moratina. In the US nowadays, our men are making good moratina there. And after we finished, one man told me, this friend, he's asking who can, if you can help him, because he had a business, a truck to transport goods, these car parts, my engines, transmissions, and all this. But now he had not gotten an opportunity to come back home because he had nobody to leave that job. I had never driven a truck, and I felt like I was free this time because I had already now this time left Haiti, and I wanted now to explore life. And he tells me, and I tell him I can offer myself. So he takes me around.
And you've never driven?
A truck? No.
A truck. Okay, driving, you know how to drive?
Yes.
But and a truck, we're talking about...
The FH.
The lorries.
Yes, the lorries.
Yes,
these big lorries.
Yes.
So I said, so he tells me, come tomorrow. He takes me to where the warehouse where they pick all those, what do you call them? Baggages or...
the goods.
The goods.
Yes.
Yes, and then the most surprising thing, and that's a very unique experience I learned in America, how people the trust and discipline with the people in America. I wish Kenya would even get a quota of that. So this person would be given those goods of, let's say, like 20 centers, car dealers shop, like Mercedes, Kia, all those the Chevrolets, there's a Chevry, and so he would put them in the truck, those lorries, and then he would have the keys because we would take them at night when nobody is on the road or in those offices. So you'd go use a code, open. You imagine a car dealer shop. You open, you go to their safe or to their store. You leave an engine, $1 million good there. You close, you sign, and then you go to another one, like 14, like our trip had 14. And when we went all the way, then the following day, on the morning now, we have finished, now we were going back. He asked me now, because I have driven the whole night, I have shown you, now I want to relax, can you now drive me back? Now I remembered the biggest car I've ever driven was a pickup, not even a double cabin. But what gave me confidence, I always say, some weeks ago, I've been given a book by an author. The book was written, No Hands, No Arms, No Problem. A person who had written a book without legs, he uses a wheelchair. He has no arms. The arms were amputated.
Yes.
So he uses that in it to write. So I said, if that person can do all those, he works for himself, he cooks for himself, why can't I? So I told him, yeah, later, And I drove, and for only 2 days, he booked a ticket and he came back to Kenya. He left me his job. Okay, I tried. But now the answer was, when I was going all those trips, I would see things or areas that I used to.
Like deja vu.
Yes, like I have been there. And this is a new era. So
You've never been there?
Yes, I would go from Alabama, go all the way to Atlanta, Georgia, Montgomery, and all this. You know, when you know the story of the revolutions, the people who are fighting for the segregation.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
So that's how God was showing me, this was your life before.
You had never been there?
Yes, but now.
And when you pass by?
Yes, when I'm driving, this one I know, this home I know, this one. So I knew, so God was telling me, you are here and you really fought for segregation, but then you died, you were killed, so you did not enjoy the fruit of your fight. So I have brought you back, and that's why I brought you to this land, to America. And anyway, for those few years that I was there, I really enjoyed.
Then my question now would be,
yes,
if you found out who you are,
yes,
why don't you go find out if you had bought a piece of land and claim it? I'm just thinking.
Yes.
Like, Lord, how much can you show me? Or rather, how do you know?
Yes,
you are not just you,
yes,
but possessed by a spirit that has not found people having sex? Like a spirit a spirit that was in Alabama, that has just gotten into you, because I believe that's also a thing, right?
Okay, yeah.
That's just now when you travel through Alabama, it sees this, but it is enjoined in you.
That, I would say that's a good thought, and it could be true. But now I'm telling, because of the intense feeling and thought and reflection, and the surety I got. You see, so many things.
Did you get the identity of the person you were before?
Now that one happened very mysterious. Then one time I was passing through, I had left now another state called Maryland, and then I was going all the way to Seattle. And lucky enough, I had already my own van, a good van, so I would use it to transfer all the United States. There is no state that I never now, in my current life, maybe in the previous life I had also, but now this current life. And so as I was traveling, my phone beeps, and somebody wishes me happy birthday. And I go, who is this? So this was a lady who had visited, they had come as a church mission to Haiti to help people. So these were Americans who are going for mission. And I was so happy. So I was on the road, and I said, hey, how have you been? Hey, I've just seen your Facebook memory, and I saw today is your birthday. So I said, hey, where are you? So I said, I'm passing to Seattle, Washington, from Baltimore, but I can pass by. You. That was in Missouri. So I get there. They are great pastors. They have a big church. So when I got there, they really hosted me well. They gave me a nice house. The whites who are living a very good life. So I stayed with them for some time. And then I felt like this is better than where I'm going, because where I was going, maybe I was still weighing. I had talked to a lady who was also who would have made maybe a good companion.
Yes.
America, they don't have.
You are still a priest then?
No, that time I had taken a small break. I was still in the time of self-realization.
But you had not transitioned fully into the earthly fatherhood.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I have stayed now with their church, and so after the church, with this family, I meet some other guys, people of these very rich families in the US. Hey, how are you, Edwin? Hey, we met you in Haiti. How are you in America? So, and they told me, come and visit our home. So I go there, they have big companies, and they are the ones who do, you see these lorries that go to America to pick trash on the roads.
Yes.
So they gave me a lorry to go around picking trash. Imagine. That's why I said, I think for me, life
As in they gave it to you to work for them or to benefit yourself?
Not to work for them, but they used to pay me.
Okay.
So as I was now doing this work, so one day I would be going to collect, where we would put all that trash. America, they have a very nice way of recycling. So not everything that was trashed is taken to the dump site. They make sure that 75%, that's the rule, of everything that is thrown goes back to recycling. That's why we get such things. Why should we import such things? And yet, like even when I see people buying yogurts and all these companies, we would be buying yogurts very cheap, if only that we knew the power of recycling. These papers, in America, they have a rule. I would see even some officers, government officers, coming to check how much we are taking to the dump site. The bottles, whether they are plastic or glass or what. So,
in the context of what you're speaking you're speaking about reincarnation.
Yes.
This is chances are this is former garbage.
That's true.
This was garbage that has come back as a cup that I'm using now.
Wow, thank you. Yes, you're even giving me more insight. That's true. And that's where now I got to know the person through that picture.
Yes.
So one day at night, I was still wondering, but no, God, you told me I was leaving. And I want now to know who that person was. So immediately I'm now in that conveyor belt. It's a big belt where all those trash, they are being put. So they come roaring.
Yes.
So you pick, if you see a bottle, you throw it on this side. If you see a box, carton.
Yes, carton.
A carton.
Yes.
You throw it on this side. You let
the sifting, the separation.
The separation.
Yes.
So on arrival, the bunch that was put there, I saw the first thing. I saw a picture of a person, the size of this, a portrait. And I saw this person looking at me. And I picked it, I looked at it. Even those people you are working with, they were wondering, hey, man, because 1 minute you lose.
You mess up.
A lot of things will pass that were not supposed to pass. I said, just give me a minute, even you can ask for permission to go and pee or what. So I was not able to work for an hour. I went, sat down, I looked, I folded it, and I kept it. That photo, I still have it wherever I go.
So did you get the identity of the person or just the image? Were you ever tempted? Did he look good by then? Did he? As in, are you an improvement of who you were before?
I think, but there's a lot of similarities.
Oh, there's a lot of similarities.
Oh, yes.
But you've not met someone saying, hey, you look like so and so. You've not met?
No, I've also, in that country, I met several.
Okay. So you don't think there's any chance? Oh, so we can say that in your other life, there's no way you are a white man?
No.
Do you think death is racist? In that, if you are black, you have to come back as black. They don't give you a chance to come back as a white man. I think death is racist. If you're a black man, you fought for segregation. You should at least have a chance to come back as a white man.
As a white man. Do you think it's a privilege to be
in
white?
That country? I believe yes.
Do you know even whites wish they were black?
Where?
Because of the strength of the color. They really suffer because of their color. That's
but
why
if you came back as a white man, you didn't have to fight segregation, right?
But first of all, the war was over, so there is no longer segregation.
But there is something called the white privilege.
For me, I don't agree with that.
Just say it. Why death is racist
No,
in that context?
First of all,
in that context.
First of all, there's nothing like racism, according to me. And if there is racism, I would define it in a different way. And I would say the definition changed the moment our brother from Kogero, our son from Kogero, opened White House and became the president of America.
People would argue differently.
Obama.
People would argue differently.
Okay.
People would argue differently, and people
no
would have
problem.
a field day with you for saying that. Black
I can
people,
prove.
actually, I think there is a common narrative almost, and I also do accept that it's probably biased based on information I was exposed to during the last campaigns in America. People say that Obama is not as liked as much as in a lot of black people don't identify with Obama under the race context because there's a narrative that gets pushed that he did not do that much for the black community under the assumption that if he got there as a black man, a lot of things will be different for the black community.
And I'm a victim of that. So I agree with those people who are saying that I was a victim. So I'll tell you before, let me finish this point, then I'll come how I became a victim of Obama presidency. So when Americans together, blacks and whites, went to vote and they voted for him, knowing that he was a colored person, yeah? Already for them, they had gone beyond race. So the words of the great man, now Martin Luther King Jr., he had said there is a time, his dream, the big dream, a time when a person will be judged not by the skin, the color of the skin, but by what? The character and your mind. So for me,
yes,
I started telling people, the first part of the dream of Martin Luther was fulfilled because now the whites did not judge somebody because of the color. But now the second part about the character is what has remained. Because, and sorry to say this, I'm black, and I met those African Americans. They even refuse to be called black Americans. For them, everything, they have been
conditioned.
Conditioned. They have seen anything black as evil. That's why they were always told even the devil is black, is what. So they refused. They didn't want to. And that's why even in any American, any white person using the word nigger would even face, be even jailed, or even, I know there's somebody who was even a governor or what, and he was seen to have mentioned or had some connotation of demeaning blacks, and he had to resign. So, but now, the problem and why that dream was not completely realized, because these black people never went beyond those, build their character. That's why they always use vulgar language. I was so surprised whenever I would meet some white people, maybe in a table in a restaurant or what, I would see them very, very insecure when they see a black person. And then, so at first I would greet them, how are you? And then I say my name. And I would see everybody, oh, how are you doing? They tell me all their name. They say, hey, welcome, sit, let's have a meal. You know why? Because they realized when they heard my accent, oh, you are not just like any other black person who would, instead of, by the time they are greeting us, the second sentence will have a slur or those abuse, not good. They fear, they really, okay, I would say.
This is, I think this is a complicated topic because I'm told black Americans or African Americans, or I don't know, whatever they want to be called, don't like African people.
Exactly, yes.
They don't like African people.
Because African people are able to integrate very well with the whites. So they feel like Africans are going to take their space. But now the reason why they now, because you see, their culture now has been in a way, like the part of the, yani, like hiyo matusi, hiyo majina ya
The insults, the slurs,
yeah,
yes.
for them is ordinary to tell, to even, there's a store I was working, and I was working with a man there, and then the wife would call, and now the wife would be telling, your daughter is misbehaving in the house, and you see, okay, I hope you will put some words. This is a dad telling the wife, can you tell that I don't want to hear, or if it's a son. So,
You're not afraid of going to hell. Oh, okay, we've covered that.
yeah, so for them,
it's normal. It's normal language.
And that's what has made now the Wazungus, the whites, not being able to integrate, because so it's an all issue of character.
This is a subject that you can drown when you get into, because this is under the assumption that all white people are good, right? But when you go into the history of slavery, there's a lot of where this pain comes from, right? There's a lot of systemic injustices that lead to all these, for lack of a better word, let me say bitterness from black people, right? And that's notwithstanding. They are good black people, they are good white people, right?
Yes, yes.
But not all black people are good, not all white people are bad, not all white people are good, not all black people are good,
yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So it's a very strange concept, because when you go into the conversation of systemic injustices, you find very interesting strategies, and I think Bamboo covers this in how music was used to influence culture, right? In how black families were broken, right? And the net effect that you find today is when the family has been broken, right? The idea of father, mother, and children, and the authority that comes with that system, over a period of time, you are bound to see a net effect of a broken generation,
Yes.
right? So if you could find two ways. One, a black person who's probably bitter out of lack of awareness, and someone else who's bitter due to awareness, knowing the injustice that has been happening. And they don't know who to blame it on, so it's a blanket blame on white people. So I believe it's a topic I would be interested to explore further.
Yeah, further. Maybe I would only say a word on that. And these are words from our great hero in Africa, Nelson Mandela. And he said, you can never free a slave. That's my concept. No one can free a slave. A slave must free himself. I think that
you can never free a slave.
Yes, a slave can only free himself.
That's a beautiful way to summarize it.
Yes. So most of those people who are always blaming other people because they are comfortable in their slavery, they have refused to get out of that slave mentality of saying I'm suffering because of another person, another race, because there have been all these opportunities. We know our great friend Kanye West. Is he white?
No, he's not.
He's black.
But he's a billionaire now.
That's it. So what stops other white people from getting there?
Black people. I can answer you this in summary of something Chris Rock said.
Yes.
I may not have it verbatim, but he says in the neighborhood he lives in, there's only 4 black people. Okay?
Yes.
4 black people.
Yes.
And his neighbor is a dentist. But the 4 black people are him, Jay-Z, and someone else, like black people who've had to do extraordinary things.
Yes.
But the white people who are the neighbors are just white people doing ordinary jobs.
That's the thing.
I'm a dentist. Yes. So systemic injustices cannot be ignored.
Yes. No, you're talking about injustices. For me, I call it slavery. It's a slave mentality. I also saw, I think last week, this great man, Snoopy.
Snoop Dogg.
Yes. Did you see what he did recently during his daughter's birthday? He bought her, I don't know how many billions dollars car. And does it mean that car will help? It was really necessary for a birthday gift. And yet, so we have few And I'm a black person, so blacks have no problem using the word.
Yes.
But if I was white, I would have big problem. They would come even for us. So these black people, they get so much, they go so much rich, but they invest in those big cars, big watches, guns. So instead of now empowering the other community.
I'll be interested to explore that further. It's a very, it's a topic to walk on eggshells.
Yes. Now, let me finish on, you mentioned the word Obama, and I said, but now to end this issue of segregation, slavery, and all this. So the reason why I said I was a victim of
Obama's presidency.
And that's why even recently, for me, I was telling people, Trump is taking. I knew Trump had helped so many black people during his first term than Obama did.
In his 2 terms.
Yes, in his 2 terms. So this is the thing. When I was in Haiti, and I would meet people and they would ask me, hey, where do you come from? So those people have so much ignorance about Africa. They think Africa is the one country, or maybe Nigeria is a city in Nairobi. So I would always want to associate with Obama.
Yes.
So I tell, hey, you didn't hear about the president of America, where his father came from. That's where my home is. And I just mentioned that name for just few weeks, and I stopped mentioning that name. They don't mention that name here. So Haiti people don't want to hear. They said, how could such a man be elected as a president of America and failed even to step his feet? And Haiti is just 2 hours from JF Kennedy and 1 hour and a half from Florida, Miami. And he did not, so for them, it's like Obama did not realize that Haiti was a republic.
And I think that's also a very complicated question when we now discuss the concept of, I didn't know, and I think I'm ashamed to admit this, of how close Haiti is to America, and we had to get police from Kenya to go deal with the situation in Haiti. But Afghanistan is how far from America? And they send soldiers to clean the situation. So when you talk resources,
Yes.
America was better placed to deal with the situation in Haiti insecurity.
Yes.
That's a conversation for another day.
Yes, I will just mention one thing, just to wrap up the whole thing.
Yes.
Because it's very well connected. The way you have brought the issue of the MSS in Haiti. So I was talking about the blacks in the US, and I said, I quoted Mandela, that you cannot
cannot free a slave.
Free a slave. So, and a slave will remain a slave as long as he does not have 3 things. In Swahili we say mwachamila ni
Mtumwa.
mtumwa. Among the things that makes you a slave, you know them? The major 3. One is your name. The moment you start using other person's name, other people race's name, you are a slave. That's why if you feed people anywhere, even our Africans who go there and their kids are called those English names, I tell them there's no difference between your kids and the kids of those slaves, because you're just taking their names. A name is very important. That's why we call, even like in our community, we call people after our fathers. So for you are not recognizing your forefathers. You want to exonerate other people's slaves. So a name, if your kids are always giving people your colonialist name, they are slaves of those people. That's why even in Haiti, all their names are in French. So that's why they have remained as slaves. The second aspect, very, very strong, is language, the way you speak. If you, like now, although we are not, I hope you are sure we are not speaking English. You know, sure. even an American would be very, very, it would be very hard to understand what we are talking. Most of the Americans, they need a caption, because our tongues and maybe the accent, the way we pronounce some words, because like Kenya, we are hybrid. Some words we put them in the British way, some in the American way. So the language is important.
So this, the language you are hearing coming out of my mouth, based on American standards, tunaongea Kisaperi. We are speaking in Kikuyu.
We don't know which language we are speaking, but
okay.
It is close to English.
So we can round it off to the nearest African language.
Exactly. Yes, thank you. The African English. Just as as I don't know whether people know that even we didn't have American English. These are America, because Americans came from Europe. You know, they migrated. They were learning from persecution, religious church persecution. That is the time the Catholics and the Muslims were fighting, and the Catholics killed so many people. So people were running away because of persecution. So when they went there, they tried to change some accent.
Okay.
So that's why now we had American English.
Okay.
Otherwise, they should have adopted the language of the
Native Americans.
Native Americans.
Yes.
So that's why the second aspect is
language.
Is language. The third one is the rituals. You see, rituals, how you connect with your Creator. The forms of prayers, worships, the altars you do. So if you don't have those three things, you remain to be
a slave.
To be a slave. So that's what has made, even if they finish slave trade, as long as they did not have those three things, especially we call it in our Kikuyu language kegogona, that ritual, you remain to be a slave. And sometimes God allows, just as He allowed the Israelites to be slaves in Egypt for 400 years, He has also allowed black people to be slaves of the whites for 400 years. And our slavery started in the year, can I tell you? 1619. That was the date at the time, and I visited that place in Virginia, where the first slave ship arrived.
In America?
Yes, it was in 1619. You know the name of the ship? We'll Google and maybe we'll show them. You can guess. Jesus.
The ship's name was Jesus?
Yes, that carried the first
batch of slaves?
Yes, to arrive. And when they arrived there, they sang a beautiful song that we like singing, like Happy Slaves, the Amazing Grace. It was to celebrate their arrival.
Who sang?
Those masters, those who are waiting for workers, for slaves. Anyway, I told you. So now to connect, to end now this story, why you ask why Kenya is so far from Haiti, but it was the one that was chosen. And I tell people, I've visited, I've talked to our government officials in the ministries of Interior, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I've told them, God had chosen Kenya to go and save Haiti even before America and UN did it. That one is a fact. I even showed them some episodes of comedies. You know, there's XYZ. Yes, Akina KJ.
Yes.
Do you know they
ridiculous?
Yes, they prophesied Kenya going to Haiti in 2017 during one of their episodes.
No, XYZ is not Akina KJ.
Who are they?
This is Gado's production.
Okay, whoever. But I will get that clip and you can see. And you know how they prophesied it? It's an episode where they show this. Now the president that time was Uhuru. So he was in the office. They would show the watch. It was getting to 10 p.m. and he's still in the office, scratching his head. Things are not working in Kenya. And he's wondering, how am I going to move on, to take this country ahead? And so he hears a knock, and he's wondering, who is now coming in my office at this hour? Who enters? His deputy, who happens to be?
The current president.
Yes.
Yes.
You know what? He carries a long file. He opens. He starts asking, "No, my brother, what are you doing for me? You know, I was going through the records, and I realized you have gone all the way to all the countries taking loans. Yani umekopa kila mahali." Anamuuliza, mpaka Zimbabwe. Then the Uhuru would tell him, no, Zimbabwe, it was not alone. We went there with Akina Dole, Akina Joe, and then they ate. So they ate too much. So I told Mugabe to pay, then I'll pay. That was not really a debt.
Yeah.
So then they say, wait a minute. Wow, I think you have borrowed everywhere. The only place you have read for me. So when I come back, when I get to your seat in 2022, the only place I can ask for loan. I can go to borrow Haiti. Now, why is Haiti in the map? That was what they say. That's how it ended.
So somehow,
yes,
like if we are to hypothesize this situation,
yes,
it would mean that the Haiti mission partly is a deal where the Kenyan government, you could look at it as a concession by the Kenyan government.
Meaning?
To provide resources
yes.
by our country, either in exchange for some money or to pay for something.
I wish it was the case, and that's how even we had started. I was speaking with some officers, some people when Alfred Motua was in the, I think, Foreign Affairs, and we had written some few things on how even Kenya can benefit with Haiti on trade matters and all this. But now, when we were just doing that, there was those reshuffles, so we could not continue.
Follow through, yes.
Follow through. But now, the issue, as I told you, it's more than people think that maybe Haiti is so wealthy in minerals. There are a lot of things that the wealth that those Wazungus want from Haiti. But for me, I'm 115% sure it has nothing to do with wealth, or it has everything to do with those three things I've told you. Things that make somebody a slave. Because Mzungu want a black man to remain as a slave, not to know his language, not to embrace his own names, to use foreigners' names, colonial names, and not to know their God. So that was the connection between Kenya and Haiti. It was nothing to do with the distance or language or what. It's because Kenya has a lot to do with the freedom of African nations. You know, it's Mau Mau that agitated for independence in Africa. And
but I think Ghana gets independence before Kenya, so the struggle was before. Mau Mau starts. It intensifies in 1952, yes, where they declare a state of emergency. So yes, it means chances are the struggle may have inspired other places in Africa.
Exactly, and even the issue started. You know, the Mau Mau, it's only the name that came later. And people even today do not agree the meaning of the word Mau Mau. Yes. Some say it's Uma, get. Our historians want to use that word, but we know that the origin was now from the World War I and II. Our people, when they went, when they were coming back, they started now agitating for freedom.
The resistance, yes.
So the connection between Kenya and Haiti is about independence. That the issue of Mau Mau, as showing the world that Africa can be independent, can fight for themselves, and then Haiti fighting there. So if they would come together, then we would be able now to be self-reliant. You see, we will be able now to have our own rituals. We will be able now to embrace our language and our names as Africans.
Okay.
So that is now the secret, and that's why for me I feel so bad when our leaders, especially here in Kenya,
yes,
are taken as puppets by the Mzungu. Why should America give us money to go and fight our own black people? And yet you see, even when those policemen are taken there, you see people with the clerical men of God, going to lead and praying for them.
I really hope they are safe. I really hope they're doing something for a greater good.
Yes.
I have a friend there.
Okay.
But I feel like he tries to tell me something, but he doesn't.
He cannot tell you.
He just says hi. And then when we start talking, he goes missing. And then he'll come back and say hi again. And I've not like pushed him for anything. I just get the vibe that he wants to tell me something, but
it is hard. For me, I have had conversation with some. I have now, like in my phone, I have over 200 contacts of people very high rank of Haitians. So we communicate and they tell me, and I'll tell you for the fact that the situation has worsened. So for me, when I see some pressers, some government, every time they are saying Now, do they have to every time say, though our people are doing great jobs, things are good? Must they tell us? We don't need to hear that things are good. We want to hear success. Why don't they just keep quiet, do their work, and then we hear they have succeeded?
Okay.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, as you say, we are praying and we hope.
We hope they're safe.
Yes. But as I always keep reminding them that there is a better way. God has chosen Kenya, and there is a way for Kenya to save Haiti, not with guns, but with, jembes, farming tools. I wish we took farmers.
Okay.
Right now, Haiti would be safe, because the only problem was not, the reason why they were fighting is not because of anything. It's not because of resources, not about government. It was about food. Those people are hungry. They just need food.
I wish them all the best, and I pray that God shows them kindness. Before we let you go, I think this is a selfish thing I have to say.
Okay.
I've personally enjoyed a conversation with you 100%, and I know we can go on and on. Kabisa. I'll throw it to our audience. I'm a big fan of ideas. I'm open-minded. My mind is flexible to open for new ideas, and I always do my best to heighten my awareness. I have enjoyed this conversation.
Yes, and as we wrap up, I wish to finish up with now, like now my the main area, our main topic was the afterlife. Now, where my stand is that now I'm an African, and I happen to be a Kikuyu. So there is what the Kikuyus believe of afterlife. And when we were growing up, we used to say that person has gone to Kuhadamiaga to plant, is it cassava or yama?
Cassavas.
Yams. Yeah.
Cassavas.
Cassavas. So you see, they had a very good way of telling people, hey, I don't know whether, maybe because cassavas grow from very deep. So when somebody is buried, so he's doing some good job to give us food.
Is this related? Because I know, I've asked myself, the Muslim cemetery in Embu is purely planted cassava. Purely, like purely. When I went there, Kitambo, some point, I think before 2005, it was all cassava plantation.
Maybe.
Like, is it related?
I thought so, and I was also asking myself, because cassava are also food that really help, especially during the time of drought, where things are dry, and maybe they come very strong. So maybe they say there has to be some people who are working very hard. So anyway, just to wrap up that on the Kikuyu concept of afterlife, and that's why I said for them it's about the issue of unborn, the living dead, the spirit, and whatever. So I wanted to say there is a connection. Those people, they are always together in spirit. They are intertwined. You cannot leave one behind. Yeah, and that's why during rituals, whether it's circumcision, during the birth of a child, during inaitwa udhoni, the marriage ceremonies, you have to involve all those aspects. You have to involve the unborn, those who will be born, the living dead, and the spirits. And one of the most important things to unite all these four levels is what now people pour. You see the libation, whether it's the wine or the muratina
or county
or maybe milk or whatever they use. And that's why I would wish to end with this as a final remark, that the reason why we are seeing a lot of issues, problems, suffering in our community is the cause. Because we have failed to bring that whole aspect together. You see, people are going for those dowry ratio, and then because they are so much into the church, they fail to incorporate the living dead. And those are the people who, because as I told you, they are living, they are still watching. So they see, oh, we left, our family is growing, our daughter is being taken by another clan, another Moherega. So they are waiting for them to be given something to celebrate. But they hear for them, no, here we are saved. We don't do that. So from there they start lamenting. And that lamentation will follow you. And that's why most of these families, you wonder why people have gone to a very beautiful dowry, they have spent a lot of money, but after 1 year, there is, or even taking dowry to the wrong people, like a case of a single mother. Yeah? So this daughter was taken care of by a single mother. So you take this dowry to the mother's clan, and you don't ask who was the father of this daughter. And yet, so those living dead, they know who the father was. And
Can we set up a full conversation? Because you're tempting me so much to go in on what you're saying.
Yes.
Can we set up a full conversation on African spirituality, and then we break it down from where you think things went wrong?
I like that. And I would say as I end, thank you. I will not go far.
No, I want you to go far, but I'm so tempted to just say, if we can, at the back of my mind, I'm holding. Mtu anajua where I can get Mr. Maponga. He speaks on African.
Yes, I speak with him.
You know Maponga?
Yes, we connect. I have his number.
Can you link us up? Yes. In fact, can we have you and Maponga on a show to just break down?
Very, very possible. I was very happy
from South Africa
when I saw. Yeah, he's connecting. He's trying to. You see these cartoons that are also brainwashing our kids. He was telling me, and they are trying with other people to build a nice cartoon networks to enlighten now to bring about that African moralities, African theology. So, but there's something I did not want to end without saying.
Say it, but please, Wadau, please tell us if you want to see us, if you enjoyed this conversation, as I have, if kama we can set up a conversation, Father Waiguru na
Maponga.
Joshua Maponga.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Carry on.
So I wanted to say, as I've said, those are some of the things that have caused all these problems, marriage breaking up, suicide cases, depression, and all this. And one most important thing that for me, many people are saying, the issue of the government, the impeachment of our DP, Rigiji. There could be many other factors, but for me, I took only one. When he was given an opportunity, he was given job to go and fight alcoholism and what. So he interfered with something very important, the ritual, what connects people, when he started now fighting the Moratina, you heard the story of the Mukoro wa Nyagadanga, those people who are jailed. That thing costed him his power. That was one of the biggest factors. That's why it was very hard for him to kujitoa.
I will not comment on this. I'll do research personally. I believe Pia, we can open it up. I want to see with the team if we can expand this conversation further. One of our favorite people, Wairima Mokoro, has been on the show, and she speaks very well on your mambo ya culture, but let's look at it from a wider African context.
Okay.
I'll do research kidogo and then come with counter questions.
Okay, great.
I'm afraid to dive into it from a point of just a spectator.
Yes.
So hiyo tunaweza endelea, right?
Okay.
So two things, aki ya mwisho, before we let you go.
Okay.
Very quick one.
Okay.
People know priests with celibacy.
Yes.
You slide out of that, you get married.
Yes.
You even have kids.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Was your first sex experience after leaving the Roman Church? Ama you had stolen and you say you're not stealing anymore. I just need to get that clear. Ama you launched yourself after leaving the church.
Let me say, I had wished so much to remain a virgin.
Yes.
Do we have virginity for men?
Yes.
Okay, then that's what I had. But I found myself, I fell a victim. I would not say, maybe men are not raped, but I was deceived by some church people. So I fell on them or for them.
So you ate the apple in the Garden of Eden.
Yes.
That's basically what you're saying.
That's what I would say.
And it was so good that you left kabisa. You did not because I believe these people who got you into the system, they are eating the fruit, but they are still in church. You decided to go eat it outside.
No, that's not the case. First of all, I got my first shock when I joined the seminary for the first time, a place called Molo, for my spirituality in the first year. So for me, I've left minor seminary in Queen of Apostles, gotten there, and I'm very green. People in my area, those who are ahead of me, telling me you cannot qualify to go in the seminary if you love a woman, if you have sex. So I keep myself
pure.
Yes. But when I get there, I'm meeting other men, boys from like Kisila. They don't know anything about celibacy. For them, the moment ukitahiri, that's one thing you have to, inaitwa kusafisha nini for the biro. So for them, and some Kalenjins, so they were giving us stories how after they were circumcised, they went with women, with girls. So I was wondering now, why did I have to sacrifice? So they even so many people are telling me, what did you sacrifice? At least for them, they had already tested. They knew how it was, but they sacrificed, they joined. Now for you, you even don't know what you sacrificed.
But they told you what you are missing.
Yes. Others, now the worst part is those who, before they joined the seminary, now in that year, they were like priest boys, wale altar boys. Na walikuwa mpaka sometime wanapewa karumu wakaekwa kwa parish. So they knew the kind of priest who they were. So they had known priests would invite sisters in their rooms and sleep the whole night. They would invite women. So they were telling us. So that's when for me, the first time I was surprised, because for me, anyone who wore a veil, like a sister, I had always thought they were virgins, but I was so shocked that they are not.
Okay.
A story of another day.
Story. Okay, and this is for select. Let's put a disclaimer that there are people who abide by the rules of the Roman Catholic Church.
Let's hope so.
That's too strong.
Let's hope so.
That's too strong.
Do the Google, I don't know which magazine. There are some magazines we used to learn. I don't know whether they are still published, of some testimonies of drivers who were employed in convents, and they were giving stories how those sisters would, because they're also
human.
They're also human.
So
they need
that is Googleable information.
Yes.
Right? Okay. That's too strong. We have to do another conversation.
I think we need one person or two who are very sure that we have virgins to come and testify and say, I am. I think
but there's no way to find out. So that is above, can we say above our pay grade, for lack of a better explanation. Thank you for sharing your knowledge.
Yes.
This episode is for open-minded people.
Very true. And I like that.
Asante. Alafu, please link us up na Joshua Maponga. I've heard him. Kwanza, there's a concept he explained, ya wealth. Creation of wealth.
Yes.
That's the most beautiful concept nimewaisikia someone explaining, and I really hope we can have a conversation with him. Na hata ukikuja kwa set kama hiyo, now I'm interested, and I believe our audience is to understand African spirituality.
Yes.
To extend your conversation.
Very true.
Asante sana for everyone who's made this possible, and our audience for sparing your time to watch this too. See you on the next one. Na kama mnataka, by the way, hiyo story episode ya Joshua Maponga na Father Waiguru, I believe we understand the African spirituality. Tufunge hii story once and for all.
Yes, that would be great. It will be connecting a lot of things, and we need to be one. We need to be united as Africans.
Let's make it happen.
And I also thank the people who gave us something nice here on the table.
Makiwa Hotel.
Imagine.
Makiwa Hotel. Wametufanyia always good
vitu tuzuri.
Na umeonaje hii location? This is Wojo, Africa.
Very nice. I love it.
Okay. We told our people about Wojo at the beginning of this video.
Okay.
Yes.
Nice.
Asante.